convidar agora o José Rafael Diaz para compartilhar a experiência que ele tem em mais de 30 países com mídia exterior.
Good morning. My name is José Rafael Diaz, and I love out-of-home media. There's many reasons why I say I love outdoor media, but today I want to deliver 3 key messages to you guys and hopefully take home with you. First of all, outdoor media is a very powerful medium. We've seen throughout today's previous speakers how all media need to be integrated. Outdoor media is one of them, and we'll get into more detail. Number 2, it's a big business opportunity, not only for media companies, but also for the cities and communities. But, like we have seen, it's not an easy business. It's complicated, and we need to really negotiate, and everybody, all the stakeholders, need to be involved. So, before we will move on, I want to really thank ABA Rio and CEPEX for their invitation for us to be here. It's a pleasure to share my ideas and thoughts and experience with you guys. I hope it delivers a clear message of how important this is, and it helps CEPEX goals that they're really working hard on it in the delivering outdoor media in a better way to improve the city of Rio and Brazil overall. Since the beginning of times, we have used outdoor signs to promote our businesses, to direct traffic, and for advertising. At the same time, cities are growing. People are, like previous speakers said, they're looking for on-demand content. And we spend 70% of our time out of home. So we need infrastructure, we need highways, we need trains, we need taxis, we need buses, bus shelters. We need ways to find our way around the cities, especially if you're a tourist, like me in Rio. So we have to be very careful though. All of these signs, no matter what they're for, compete with each other. And if we're not careful, this can easily happen. Not only in Sao Paulo or Rio, it happens all over the world. If there is no clear rules of engagement, this is something that is very easy to happen and it's very difficult to solve. So we really have to be careful. Here, for instance, there's a traffic sign here. Nobody can see that. So it becomes a hazard. So we have to stop and think about it. We have to set our priorities straight. Safety for a community must always be #1 priority. No matter how many signs there are, safety has to be first. Traffic signs have to be more important than advertising, no matter where you are. Our environment, we have to preserve our environment, our beauty, especially in a city like Rio, which is a city named by UNESCO as a World Heritage, Patrimonio Mundial. Has to be a priority. However, there is a way to use outdoor media. There has to be a balance. So how do we do this? How can cities create a balance between safety, environment, traffic signs, on-premise signs, and outdoor signs? How can they get to what Teresia just showed us? How did Paris get there? How did France get there? To create the clear rules of businesses so people can invest. It's all about investments. It's a big opportunity for the cities to create not only local companies, but international companies to come into our cities and invest and help us build our cities and create better communities and better facilities for us to move around. Now, like I said before, it's not an easy problem. All cities in the world have problems with this because it's not an easy problem. We're using people's space. There's a lot of elements that we need to consider, like we just saw. So it's not easy. We have to really sit down and negotiate. So what made a lot of the cities that we're going to talk about today, what they have done in general, I'm not going to really get into specifics in any of them, but in general, the solution that has come from the federal and state entities or governments to create guidelines, overall guidelines, nothing specific, overall guidelines of how the rules of traffic signs or signs, outdoor signs, on-premise signs, and so forth, they need to be in order. But the local authorities in each city have to have a final say or a more powerful say in this, because only the communities and the local authorities know their cities best. They know what their needs are. Right now, Rio has a specific need. Then we have the Olympic Games coming to Rio, and there's construction all over Rio. There's a very specific event. Okay, it's not happening anywhere else in Brazil. It's happening in Rio. So local authorities, along with the local communities, have to have the power to change and adapt, really, the rules to adapt to the new situation. And this is continuous. And the key really here is that the communities need to get involved. And when we talk about local communities, we're not only talking about advertising communities, we're talking about the local government, the advertisers and agencies, the environmentalists, the cultural, everybody in the city, because it really affects everybody. We're using people's space to deliver messages, and they need to be organized, and they need to be in consensus with everybody to avoid problems. This is the only way we need to create clear rules of engagement, or rules of the game, if you will. If there's no rules of the games, we cannot play the game. No games without rules, because it becomes a problem. It becomes a mess, nobody likes it, nobody supports it, and that's kind of why, like Teresina shows, there's such a big gap between the percentage of investment in outdoor media in organized cities like France or like Japan that we're going to see later on, and Brazil. Here people, you guys, the agencies and advertisers are afraid of investing in advertising, in outdoor media, because they're afraid. I mean, there are no rules, they don't know if it's good, I mean, they know it works, but they don't know really if it's going to be legal, if it's going to create a problem. So there needs to be clear rules for this to happen and to create the environment. So again, international companies and local companies invest in our community. Right now we have the blessing here in Rio that we have companies like JCDecaux, CBS, and Clear Channel, which are outdoor companies from abroad that are coming into our cities, not only Rio but all Brazil, and investing money in our cities. But they need to have clear rules so they invest more. They want to invest. There's money out there that needs to be invested. People are looking to invest in outdoor, but there needs to be clear rules of the game. And this way, we will create what I believe is a win-win-win-win situation. Everybody wins. If there are clear rules and everybody knows what to expect and knows what to, that is secure investment, then the advertisers will be able to use outdoor media, the communities will get better services for themselves, like Wi-Fi or whatnot, you'll see, or better bus shelters or whatnot. The outdoor media companies will be able to prosper and so forth. So, and we'll get, again, orderly progression. It's really the only way we're going to have orderly progression is to have clear rules of the game. So, let's start with a video from Outdoor Advertising Association of America, basically showing the power of outdoor media.
Innovation to work in all parts of this business to help advertisers take their message further. Today's out-of-home is a dynamic mix of displays and screens that surround and immerse customers with bold messages that make them stop, notice, and respond. Out-of-home dramatically improves the reach of other media when it's included as part of an integrated plan. Out-of-home can extend the reach of TV by 18%, radio by 45%, internet by 68%, and mobile by a whopping 316%. Out-of-home is accountable, audience rated, social media plans by driving people to social interaction and commerce. Out of Home brings the virtual world into the real world, helping advertisers accelerate their social media presence, local marketing initiatives, and mobile advertising efforts. Now more than ever, digital content is at the center of customer engagement, and digital out of home drives consumers to websites, interacts through social media channels, and transacts with smartphone devices. Out of home is big screens leading consumers to small screens. By merging brand content, social engagement, mobility, and commerce, out of home advertising is connecting consumers with brands in highly engaging new ways. Out of home advertising, forward-looking, relevant, innovative. Out of home surrounds and immerses consumers where most other media just can't go. Away from home, where people spend 70% of their waking hours. Coverage no other media can match. High impact, disruptive, creative messages wherever consumers work, shop, travel, and play. That's out of home advertising today. If you haven't considered out of home lately, take another look. You may be surprised by what you see.
Again, it's a great medium, very powerful, and it connects our, like they say in the video, the big screen for smaller screen. Right now, the big challenge that we have not only now but ahead of us are our future generations. They're watching less TV, they're reading less, they're always there with their phones. So looking down on their phones, people are not looking up. So what better way, and they're always, 70% of our time, we're out of our homes. So outdoor media really is a great vehicle to engage people and to make them interact with the brand, to use their mobile phone to start creating social media, to take pictures, to take pictures and send to their friends, to put it in Facebook or whatnot. It's really, it really helps drive people to their TV channels. For instance, in the United States, out of home is heavily used by TV stations to promote their shows, their news and whatnot. So it's a great vehicle to engage with people and to connect, to use other media. So they have to, like the previous speaker mentioned, it's all about integrating different media. And out of home is a great tool to do that. I want to take the opportunity to also thank the OAAA, the Outdoor Advertising Association of America, for not only their help and letting us use their materials to do this, but they, as an association, what you guys call here a federation, they're the backbone of the outdoor media industry. Okay? They represent the outdoor media industry. Not only the outdoor media companies, but also the advertisers and clients and agencies. They work together to defend and to promote outdoor media in general. Members of the Outdoor AAA are not only, like I said, outdoor media operators. Outdoor media operators need to follow the rules. If they don't follow the rules, they break the rules, then there is no association. There needs to be a commitment from the outdoor media company, okay, to follow the rules, to engage, to support what FedEx is doing, what FedEx is doing. They need to be a part of the team, okay? So now we're going to take a brief trip around the world, if you don't mind, and visit several cities with specific examples which I thought were beneficial to the industry and to what's going on here in Brazil and specifically in Rio, and with the outdoor advertising industry in general. So why not visit London? London, besides Rio, is one of my favorite cities in the world. And they have really, the Brits really get outdoor media. They use it, they love it. So much so that this got my attention. I mean, is it really that? I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, farmers around this is a train that goes from Reading to London, okay? And the farmers around the track put together and they created what they call ambient media, okay? And this is no joke, this is true, okay? And they use their sheep to talk to the people in the train while they're in the train, and guess what? It's a successful media, okay? Brits get it. They're always thinking out of the box. If you visit London, all you use their metro or their underground or the tube, like they call it. It's all over the place. They use digital all over the place. They're very creative. They rock the cities. They do promotions. They do screens, but they don't only do screens. They try to really wrap it around a beautiful structure. So it's not just a screen. It's something that is eye-catching. It's different. It's beautiful. Look, not only here, but here, interactive. But it's just a screen there that looks just like they go a little bit beyond that. They really do a good job at doing this. This I've seen here in Brazil, nothing new, but again, it's how they do it. The sequence is key. Here, when you have the messages in a sequence, it's very important. It catches your eye and it really delivers the message. They got videos on traffic in certain areas. Incredible. But about London, I really wanted to bring this case study as an attention to you guys. This is Piccadilly Circus. If you've ever been in London, I'm sure you've been there because it's a tourist attraction. It's a destination. However, this is in the 1970s. Okay? This was London in the 1970s, Piccadilly Circus, and it became a problem. Like it's a problem everywhere. People wanted to get rid of it. A lot of people were against it. Obviously, other media companies were not, but a lot of people in cities were against it, and a lot of citizens were against it. Okay? Because it was cluttered. It was ugly. I mean, you can't really tell. When there's so much stuff going on, it loses value. It's not good. So they sat in the table, it took them a while, and this is what they did. This is today, Piccadilly Circus. They negotiated. They got into an agreement. Everybody won. They cleaned up what they wanted. They preserved their natural or their cultural, what they consider landmarks in the city, buildings in the city, but they left outdoor and incremented its value. Okay? So, this is a perfect example of what needs to be done. Okay? Less is more. Menos is más. It really is, because it's less, it looks better, and every sign is worth more. So you make more money, the city gets more money, and you have less problems. Less to deal with. Great, I love it. The other thing that the Brits are doing, and this is going a lot around the world, is the digital. Okay? I want to make a parenthesis here to explain to you how the digital is working worldwide. Digital screens, because their value or their cost has gone down, really are transforming our industry completely again. Okay? Digital signs are really allowing for companies and for the cities to take advantage of outdoor media, which has never been before. It has allowed the outdoor signs to become not only advertising, but a communication medium. It can show live pictures, live events, live feeds. Right now here, for instance, this Burberry sign by JCDecaux in London, it has a timer counting down to an event. Right now it's 2 days, 22 hours, 12 minutes, and 5 seconds away. Cool. Right now they're using this playing sports. When a game is going on, the ESPN, for instance, does this a lot. They show the score of the game. So, and they invite you to tune into the ESPN. So they show you, don't forget, the game is on. It's 1 to 2 or whatever it is. Tune into ESPN. So it's using outdoor media to ask you to go and tune in to TV. Okay? Plus, it's allowing the cities to use this space in case of emergency. As a matter of fact, in the United States, it's a part of the law in a lot of cities that if you put off the digital, you have to allow the cities, in certain cases, to use your sign in case of hurricanes in Miami, or in case of what they call Amber Alert, when there's a kid that is kidnapped, or the children, or any problem in the community, they can use these signs to communicate with the cities. So it allows the big companies also, the outdoor media companies, to clean up their old structures that are no longer good. Cities grow. So all the old signs have been there forever, that are no longer really worth, nobody wants to put them there. They use this as a negotiating tool with the cities to trade. let me put up a digital while I take all these other results. So it's a great tool, it's completely changing the industry, and it's something that all cities are going to eventually use. Okay, but again, bricks, they go beyond that. They don't only put a digital, look at where they put it. Look at the structure they build it around on. It's awesome. Look at it. It's a sculpture panel. So it's not only digital, but beautifies. I believe this beautifies the city, in my opinion. Okay? So it really transformed this. Okay? Again, this is not all completely automatic and everything's good. These companies, there's three companies, there's JCD, of course, Sky, and there's Ocean Outdoor in London. This kind of projects, initially, they're always banned. The people don't want it. They say that the digital are dangerous, okay? But there's no study that I know of that shows that digitals are dangerous. There are so many studies, and there's, as long as the brightness, as long as you control the brightness on this, especially at night, okay, and you don't have movement, but then it becomes a problem. You can have digital. There's no sign. So what happened in London in certain cases is that they give temporary permits. In this case, because initially it was banned. It's not allowed. No, we're not allowed to put digital there. But they went back and they say, we want it, and they showed us that there is no proof of that there is danger. So they allow for 5 years to put up these signs, as long as they cannot prove that it's causing problems in traffic. If they do have a proof to cause problems in traffic, so they might ask them to take it down. But that's not the case so far. So again, the bricks, let's take a little break here again, with the video. It's a video about using bus shelters for the community using digital signs. I thought it was spectacular. I think that's cool. Okay, so let's take a trip back across the pond and go back to New York City, for instance, for a minute. New York City, we all know Times Square, but I'm sure a lot of you didn't know, back in the 1980s, which is not too far back, only, 20, 30 years, it was the biggest problem that New York City had was Times Square. It was the biggest center for drugs, prostitution, and crime in the city. Mayor Giuliani was part of the solution, and they really didn't intend to do it. They didn't know what they were doing, but they had to do something about it. And basically what they allowed to do is to have buildings to light up, to use neon signs, to see what happened. And they started building neon signs, and this is what they transformed it. Outdoor media and outdoor signs, especially back then in neon, now digital, had to do everything with the transformation of New York City. Of Times Square district. And it became an icon. Who goes to New York City nowadays and doesn't go to Times Square? You have to. It's a destination. It brings a lot of money to the city. I think it's over 300 billion. Jimmy would know better, but it's a lot of money that this area is bringing to the city. And it's all because of the signs. TV stations are moving to Times Square, so they can, when they're on the programs, they have the background of the Times Square, showing the signs. The value of these signs is tremendous. I mean, they can pay, I think, $250,000 a month to have a sign in Times Square. Something ridiculous. So the city is making a lot of money. They cleaned up the city. There's no longer a safety issue in Times Square, and it became an icon. It became a destination. So that's something that we need to do. This building, for instance, a little bit of history and trivia here. This building is 1 Times Square, which is what used to be the offices of the New York Times. Okay. Now this is in 1990. They moved it, and then nowadays that building, that same building, is completely empty of people. It's all full of computers because it's much better and nicer to have computers as tenants than people. They don't complain. And they pay in time, I guess. Okay? So let's go and take a trip, take a quick flight to Toronto, to Canada. And in Toronto, I want to show you a couple of examples too. In Toronto, they came up, this was actually a study from a university, came from a student. Okay? And they came up with this very unique idea of creating what I call ecological billboards. Okay? They only use plants and stone. Okay? And it's like about 1.5 miles strip, okay, where they have these, and they have a waiting line. Companies want to be part of it because it shows commitment to the environment, it shows commitment to the cities, and it shows, look at this, FedEx, Deloitte, and very high-end brands support this, and each of them pay, I believe, it's $250,000 a year. So in 1.5 miles strip, the city and companies are making $2.5 million a year doing nothing. I mean, doing very, very creative. It's nothing dangerous about this. So I think it's very clever and something that we should all probably copy. In Toronto, also, they created a destination, like Piccadilly Circus and like Times Square. They created a destination. They also had a problem. They wanted to build out Toronto, as the downtown of Toronto, they wanted to make it more residential. So they had this problem, again, like Times Square, where they had issues with drugs and prostitution and crime, and they didn't know what to clean up. And actually, outdoor companies, I believe it was Clear Channel and Astral there, they came up to the city and said, let's do a little Times Square in Toronto. And they did. Make a long story short, they created this using a lot of outdoor signs, and they created a square or a plaza where they do a lot of promotions and product launches, and they watch games, and people go there, they have restaurants and whatnot. They completely clean up the city using outdoor media signs and solve the problem, create a destination. Everybody goes to Toronto, they got to go to Dawson Square. Okay? I hope I'm not becoming a handy, guys. Well, I'll move on. This is a quick video about, again, some clever usage of outdoor advertising to engage people in there's not really, to engage people while they're out of their homes. In this case, waiting for a bus in a cold weather. Engaging people to promote your brand. Okay, going quickly to Australia. I don't think we have much time here, but okay, again, Sydney uses the Opera House as a destination. They use projections to do a lot of their, to promote their city and to make the city better at night. And they use a lot of artwork, but they could also use it for advertising. In the case of this, I want to really bring to our attention. There's in the state of New South Wales, which is a metropolitan area of Sydney in Australia, they have an entity called the RTA, which basically controls the local state routes, right? The highways and whatnot. They came up with this idea of using bridges or pasarelas or whatever you want to call them, using digital, okay, to communicate with the cities and allow advertising again. And they have gone from 30 they have, now it's up to 80 of these that they have, again using architectural science and making it different. And they're bringing in revenues now. They had $8 million in revenue to $13 million in revenue for the city, or for the state in this case, for RTA. So it's another example of how cities are waking up and saying, let's use this to clean up, to make it better, to have a tool to talk to our people if there's case of emergencies, and give community messages, and at the same time create revenues for the city. Just another clever here use of other media. Tokyo, the same, another destination. Tokyo or Japan, I believe they go beyond. I think the reason I put it there is because they go beyond a little bit more. They actually build, they use their outdoor media in a huge way, even though they're only 100 million people, compared to Brazil, 200 million. They're only second to United States in outdoor media expense. Okay? Why? Because they're very well organized. Even though it really looks like a mess, it's really very well organized. And the main reason is this. They create a council with the road administrator, the outdoor advertising company, and the landscape, and everybody involved, all the stakeholders again, involve the community and the companies. And they sometimes bring it to election. When there's a project for outdoor media, they involve even the community. They want people to participate, so people trust it. They create a trust environment, so people invest more in our home. Going back to the United States, Las Vegas. Vegas is an easy one because, it's a very entertaining city, so they use a lot of outdoor. But they just signed, again, the city of Las Vegas just signed a deal with an outdoor company to create, I believe it was 30 digital billboards around the city to promote and to deliver messages for the community messages using outdoor. So they have a partnership, a public-private partnership. That's really where everything is going. A partnership between public entities and private companies to deliver not only outdoor advertising but also community messages. Chicago had a big problem. They had, again, guys, this is not all completely automatic. It's not, you cannot just go there to Chicago and put up a digital billboard. These had battles. They had problem in courts. It was a battle, but they just approved, they just overturned the digital ordinance, and they allowed it, and now they just signed a deal with JCDecaux, okay, to post 60 digital billboards around the city, okay, with the city participation. The city is part of this. It's a partnership, public-private partnership. Okay? Miami, where I lived for the last 20 years of my life, it was a very closed city. You couldn't do anything in Miami. Everything was illegal. You couldn't do anything. Okay? Talking about 15 years ago. You could, but very little. It was ugly. They didn't take advantage of it. But they woke up. They say, wait a minute. They work with other cities, like Washington, D.C., for instance, and they really came together and they started opening it up. As a matter of fact, about 2-3 years ago, they invited us, they created a meeting like say this, and they invited all people interested, and they gave us a list of all of the assets, of all the city's assets, buildings, squares, whatnot, and they asked us, what do you guys think we can do? How can we use our assets to build communication mediums or ideas to bring in more money to the city? All cities need money. This is nothing to... Nowadays, Miami, you find everything. I'm sure you guys go to Miami a lot. There is phones, there is trains, train wraps, there's taxis, there's buses, bus shelters, more buses, more bus shelters, very creative ideas, I believe. A lot of you guys have this also, but it opened up. The city opened up, and specifically with walls, of course, we have digital. These are digital, okay? So, Wallscape, they came up with a very unique way to promote the Wallscape. I believe they did this also in Washington, D.C. They gave 30 permits, only 30, a limited number of permits. They went through a bidding process, And companies, I believe at the beginning, was like 6 companies had, each one of them had 3 or 4, whatever. They had less, now they incremented to 30 because it's very successful, okay? And the cool thing about this idea is that you have this building, but if the construction comes up, you can use your permit to move to another building. They have to be pre-approved, but it's not so much of a hassle because you already have a permit, okay? So it's very creative, I believe. It gave order, and clients love it. I mean, $50,000 a month, I believe these are going for. And clients love it. It works. It's right there. You don't really need a structure. You use part of the building. Apple, great example. They love billboards. They love outdoor homes. And they built the most recognizable brand in the world. Very incredible. Okay, now from briefly to Latin America. Latin America, the problem is pretty much the same everywhere. Okay, a lot of these organizations, typical Latinos. Okay, right now a lot of cities are trying to figure out what to do because a lot of cities got cluttered. Okay, so it's a process. I mean, everything's moving forward. It's a process, but we've decided to just focus on Chile. Chile is one of the main, most organized. Okay, the city's really well organized. I mean, they're allowing through bidding processes and whatnot. It's allowed. They have all type of media, like it's shown here. This is according to my friend Tirso in the CBS. They got bridges, they got billboards, they got signs, they got all types of signs, they got digital. But there's an issue here with Chile. The city is becoming a little bit greedy. They're asking for too much money. Okay? So as a good partner, you have to understand that it has to be a balance. If you ask for too much money, then it's no longer a good business for the other media companies. Then there's no investment. So you got to be careful. You got to really walk the fine line that the cities is on how to do things. Okay? This is more Santiago. And we go back to Rio. Rio, what can I say? It's a beautiful city. I love it. Again, thank you for inviting us here. This is something that I found during the World Cup that I thought was very, very good creative, very timing. I mean, I believe it was Diaz that did this. I believe it's the Copacabana, you guys will know better. But look at this. It creates social media. It triggers social media. People take pictures, they send it to their friends, they post it on Facebook. It works, guys. It's great. And again, 3 key messages. One thing I wanted to say about, again, it's a very powerful medium. It's a big business opportunity, especially for cities and communities, nonetheless for advertisers and agencies, but you have to compromise. Everybody needs to get involved, guys. I mean, for this to work out, it's in everybody's benefit. Everybody needs to get involved and support. I believe, and I'm very impressed with what ZEPEX is doing locally, and Teresina, Joe Carlos, and all the directors of the ZEPEX. Again, thank you for inviting me. They really have a good plan in hand. They really know what to do. They're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, look at this. I mean, all cities go through the same. They have full support. We've been talking to other cities, and I'm more than happy to help out in whatever I can. You guys need to get on board, support them, and support FENAPEX, because it's worth the time and investment. Okay? One more thing though, as a footnote, and I know I only have 5 minutes, okay? Let's say we have everything's perfect, like our previous speaker said. You need good creative. Okay? If you don't have good creative, all the money is wasted. So being here now, the ABA Association, the advertisers, and I'm sure agencies are here as well, good creative is critical for outdoors to work well. So I want to just wrap it up quickly as much as time permits with a couple of things or videos and ideas so we can have ordinary progreso here in Brazil as well.
Out of Home is a uniquely creative advertising medium with virtually unlimited potential for imagination and artistry.
I think outdoor is really an exercise of stripping things down, and all the elements that are left are, they need to be super special and very direct.
Outdoors a 1-2 punch. You don't have time.
like to sort of beat around the bush. You have people driving 60 miles an hour by a board. They've got maybe 3 seconds to sort of see it and capture it.
And we have to figure out how are we going to communicate within the constraints of that amount of time.
You can't flip channels. It's there. You close your eyes until it's gone. Some of us passes, but that's what makes it unique.
You have to communicate succinctly and quickly, but at the same time, you have a great opportunity to bring people joy.
It's always been incredibly simple, powerful, compelling, funny. It's always different, right? It's like people are part of the message, and the whole environment is part of the message, and that always changes from day to day and place to place.
And I think that's where the media can be very fun, that you can really engage an audience and use the environment.
All these different ways that we can capture the imagination of the consumer. And we can do it because now the only thing that we can't do is what we can't imagine.
The power of out-of-home's uniquely creative use of space, structure, and location is now even greater as the medium embraces the digital age.
I love using new technology and out-of-home, using that to expose potential. There's so many great new technologies today.
Outdoors use digital age, all of the new technology to make outdoor portable. There are a lot of great pieces of communication.
This medium is here to stay. You cannot eliminate it. It's a great awareness vehicle.
Out-of-home is a great way to bring those ideas to life.
Creatively executed, out-of-home offers virtually unlimited potential and impact. With a growing range of sizes, shapes, and technology, out-of-home offers a limitless canvas for brands to deliver disruptive and engaging consumer experiences.
Thank you very much.
Uma pergunta.
Alô? Alô? Minha pergunta seria para o José, para que a gente ouvisse dele um pouco mais sobre a qualidade da criação para essas mídias específicas. Ou seja, não adianta ter regulamentação, não adianta ter equipamentos de alto nível, de qualidade, hoje em dia, com a disponibilidade que existe no mercado, sem que as agências criem adequadamente para esse material. Então, não existe equipamento bom com criação ruim. Então, eu queria uma exposição sua sobre o assunto.
Com certeza. Yes, I mean, em português é muito limitado. Eu acho que é melhor que eu fale em inglês e o tradutor faça o seu trabalho. Yes, I mean, it really has been a problem in the past. I mean, agencies and advertisers have tended in the past, I believe this is changing radically, to use the same artwork that they did for magazines or for print for outdoor. And that does not work. That does not work because really, if you think about it, if you have your nice in su mano, so if you have a newspaper in your hand or a magazine in your hand, or you're watching TV, you have more time to really digest what the message is, right? In outdoor, you barely have seconds. If you don't catch people's attention in 2 or 3 seconds, your eyes are gone because you're either driving or working or watching your telephone. The outdoor creative has to basically be for outdoor. And there's a big initiative, again, for the outdoor, the AAA in the United States to lead this. They have created in the last 10 years or so a creative department, if you will. And I got a very good friend, Rick Robinson, who's very involved in that. And it's precisely because of what you're saying. If the artwork is not well done, then all the effort and all the money invested is wasted. Did I respond to your questions?
Eu gostaria de fazer uma pergunta ao meu amigo aqui. Veja só, sobre esses painéis luminosos. Lá fora, na Europa e nos Estados Unidos, a gente vê os painéis muito mais slide, mudando as imagens, do que em movimento. E aqui no Brasil está começando a ser implantados vários painéis outdoor luminosos que tem movimento. O que é que você acha, Gabi?
Good question. It depends on where the structure is or the panel is. No? If it's facing pedestrian traffic, like Times Square, you can have movement. It's not a problem, okay? Because you're not really creating danger. Okay, it's safe. Okay, because people are walking around. You can afford to do that. But if it's facing a highway, and this is not my opinion only, it's the law. Okay, in a lot of cities. Okay, if it's facing the highway or any route where people are moving, I believe it's over 30 miles an hour, it cannot and it should not have movement. Okay, the way it works there is that the reason I say it should not have movement is not only because it's a safety issue, but it's also that there's been studies that say that if you're moving in a vehicle, your brain cannot capture another moving message. If you're walking, you can, but if you're moving, you can't. Right? So that's why I say you should not. The way it works in the United States and in Europe and a lot of places is that by law, you have to have static images, go from one static image to the other without an effect, no animation in the transition, and each static images have to have at least 8 seconds, I believe. It changes in the city, but it's believed 8 seconds to 10 seconds, there's a minimum. So you cannot have movement, not even in the transitions. The transitions, I believe, need to be made with less than 1 second. So you have Coca-Cola, and then you have Brahma, okay? But in the transition, there cannot be transition, and there cannot be movement at all while each of the advertisements is being made. So that's really how it works.
Eu agradeço mais uma vez em nome da ABA, Terezinha, ao Diaz, Wilson e o Alain.